All right, I'm back again with another video, and I know this information has set for a while, but I kind of wanted to give it some time to breathe before I talked about it. Um, but first, let me just say I hope you all are having a happy holidays and enjoying yourself. For those of you that are on break from your job or whatever on vacation, I hope you guys are being safe and having fun. I know I'm enjoying my break. Um, Been a while since my last video, but like I said, I've been trying to give some things some time to fester before I actually dig into the topic. So, as I'm gonna put on a title, it's gonna be pretty self-evident what this video is about, but this is interesting that it's finally coming out because I've low-key been dropping the hints about this since last year. And I remember particularly during that game where DeRozan hit that game winner. I remember talking about this in my post game analysis that if you look at Zach LaVine's face, he looked disgusted. And you mean to tell me, we're a year later and this team is losing, and all of a sudden the news comes out that they got beef in the locker room? Well, I've been speculating this shit since last year. So this ain't new to me. If you follow my channel, I've been telling y'all for the longest that something is up with that because you don't just have that kind of body language. Like, I know the mind state and the mindset of these guys. These guys, like, to play in the league, you got to have a certain mindset, right? But even more to play in this league, like to be a star, an all-star, or one of these max contract guys, you gotta have a certain level of pride and ego. You just got to. You can't be a superstar or a star player and not have some pride or some ego. I don't want to hear that bullshit. Because that's exactly what it is. So for them to have these stories come out about DeRozan and Zach LaVine having issues and stuff, it just all lines up. But then you also got Zach LaVine earlier showing his disdain for Billy Donovan bitching him, essentially. Pissed him off. And I got to be honest with you, man. Zach LaVine, for the better part of the year, had been playing like shit. Now, he does have an out because he's still nursing that damn knee injury. So he does have a legit out. But here's the thing, people. You just paid this man $215 million. He is your guy. He should be on the court. But at the same time, Billy Donovan, he has to make an executive decision to win games. And the Bulls have not been winning games, albeit since that story came out like 2 weeks or so ago, they've been kind of winning games. So maybe this shit needed to be aired out. Maybe this shit needed to happen. And then furthermore, they were saying that they had a big locker room blow up in the Minnesota game, which if I remember correctly, they still lost that game too. And from my understanding, there was like three guys or so or more that was basically going at Zach LaVine and his low IQ on the court, his boneheaded decision making. Which, by the way, this doesn't get talked about enough. Part of the reason I like the Zoe Zach LaVine pairing is because Zach LaVine played point guard pretty much the entire season before Zoe and DeRozan and them got there, and it just wasn't working. Like he had to because he was their best like player, so they had to put the ball in his hands. But that's not him. So part of the reason I like Zoe is because Zoe, and you saw this especially when he was playing with Zion in the game, and there wasn't many guys. When he ran the show, he would give the ball where it needed to go. He would tell, like, even if Zion wanted to come out on the perimeter and stuff, he'd be like, no, get down in the post. I'm giving you a post entry. Get position. I'm going to give you the ball. You're going to make a play from the post because that's what the game needs right now from you. Zach LaVine needs a guy next to him that's going to take that off of his shoulders, that decision making part. It is going to allow for his game to truly flourish. Because otherwise, he's going to sit there, pump fake 3 times, and then take a step back, and you can be like, bruh, there was so many better opportunities for a shot than for you to sit there, pump fake all those times, and take an even worse shot. The best version of Zach LaVine is Zach LaVine when he's making a quick decision. Okay, do I have a shot? Do I attack the rim or pass? That's all he needs to do. He has the athletic ability to get down or get past anyone along with the handles, and he's got the shot making to make a shot over just about anyone. Cool. You might say, well, if he could do all that, why do you want him to have a limited, you know, presence there on offense like that? And my thing is, it's not limiting his presence. Simply what I'm saying is to get the most effectiveness for him, you need someone who tells him, look, guy, just take the damn shot, attack the rim, and pass the ball. We don't need all this extra thinking you're doing. You're holding the ball too long. You're stagnating your offense. That's where Zoe came in at. Zoe was a check and balance to Zach LaVine. But not just Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, he was a check and balance to him. And let's talk about DeMar DeRozan real quick, because I've even said this as recently as this year. I've even asked this question, but I asked this question last year. I said, whose team is this? There's always this post game jibber jabber that happens with Zach LaVine want to talk like he's the leader of the team, and then DeMar comes out here and wants to give his poetic justice, to the fans and shit. And it's like, oh, it's like where when you turn on the car and then you turn off the car. It's like, what are you talking about, nigga? Like, what are we doing? What are we really doing? But okay, DeMar DeRozan, he's probably your best playmaker. He's consistent. And he's damn, like, as far as mid range shooters in the game, he's probably top three. In my opinion, he's probably top three in the game. He is at that point, and I've said this before last year. He's at that point in his career where he knows what he can do and what he can't do, and so he will always get to his spots. And it's just a matter of if he's feeling it that night or not. He could have a night like last night where he drops like 42, 45 points somewhere. What he dropped somewhere in that range where he drops in the 40s and he's just putting on a clinic, 15 and 25, shooting highly efficient, 60% basically from the field. And then you got other nights where, he gives you, modest 27 points, which, pretty average for him, but he's still efficient doing it. But DeMar also has a similar issue. I know a lot of people, including myself, we talked about how he was a better passer um, in San Antonio, but this ain't San Antonio, and Pop runs his ship different. And even he talked about this. He's like, hey, Pop is a different kind of coach. You can't play your play style in SA. In SA, you have to play the Pop's game. And he's going to tell you what he needs you to do, and you're going to do that within the scope of your game. But this is DeMar DeRozan we're talking about. This guy hit 2 back-to-back game winners on the Pacers and the Wizards last year, around this time last year, in the end of the year and the beginning of the year, back-to-back. He did that. This is the same guy who has been an all-star like 6 or 7 times in his career. When the chips get heavy, they look to DeMar. And the problems with DeMar is he's your old school kind of scorer. He's like Kobe in a sense, not as skilled as Kobe by any means, but if I guess we want to talk technically, he's up there. But from the standpoint of if he gets the ball, it's tunnel vision sometimes for him. He's gonna get to his spots and try to make the play, and then if he can't make the play, he might try to kick it back out to someone just to do it all over again. But he doesn't provide you anything else. Like, yeah, there's times where he can, make the correct passes and stuff, but that's not the main part of his game. Who he is who he is. And this is something we got to start talking about when we're discussing team composition. Who players are is who players are. Now, I thought that this wouldn't be effective because Zach and DeMar are similar players. But I also thought that they could be effective for the simple fact that they play in different parts of the court. And all of these things have been true. But the problem is DeMar is just simply better. Better not because he's the better player, but better because he has more of a dominant on court personality. And it's even said in the reporting that, Zach and DeMar are cool. They're good friends. They don't have an issue. It's just the semantics of the on court stuff. And that's always what it's going to be. It's always going to be the on court stuff. They're in two different places in their career. And for the most part, they play the same similar role, but they're not like, say, Jason and Jalen in Boston. Which, by the way, I'm one of the people that said you should break that up, and I still think you should break that up. But that's a lot more similar to, say, Paul George and Kawhi, in which they have a lot more versatility in their games, what they do. So they complement each other a lot better than DeMar and Zach do. So if you kept that together, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But my issue that I've been having this year has always been the same thing. They're hurting each other's presence on the court. Zoe was the linchpin that basically covered for every one of those guys. You could tell what Acme and them were thinking. They wanted three good offensive players. They wanted Vooch to be the third guy. And they wanted Zoe to glue this together with his skill set. Because if you watch, they don't fit. Well, I've been saying this since last year. They're being held together. They're being held together by Caruso and Zoe. Even without Patrick Williams, which he played a role in this too. But they were being held together primarily by Caruso and Zoe. Mainly Zoe, because Zoe played the bulk of the minutes and Caruso ended up coming in once Pat got hurt. And you really got to see how those two work together and solve the bigger issues. You got to see how they solve the bigger issues. But without Zoe, this is falling apart. And this is why I say Zoe is having a superstar level effect on these guys, because this is what you expect from Prime Bron. If Prime Bron is out of a rotation because of injury or something, that team 90% of the time cannot win games. Could not win. Zoe, who is by a lot of people considered a role player, he's been out for almost a full year now, and they've lost way more games than they've won. This isn't by mistake, people. But if Zoe being out means this team can't win, that means that this team functionally isn't working. But this is why I've been saying, hey, trade Vooch, trade DeMar. I've been saying this for a long time. There's people on the train to trade Zach LaVine now. That is gaining some steam. Now, if you're going to trade Zach LaVine, here's my issue. If you're trading Zach LaVine, you're going for a full rebuild. Absolute full rebuild. In which case, you're trading everybody. I don't see a point in trading Zach LaVine unless you're going to say everybody has to go. We're getting assets. We're going to start the process of full rebuild. Yada, yada, yada. There's no point in trading Zach LaVine unless that's your goal. DeMar's in his mid-30s. Okay, he's not gonna be here much longer. His better days, for the most part, are past him, even though he's playing at a high level still. But I don't think he brings enough versatility for you to justify building a team around him. Vooch, same issue, and Vooch has a bunch of problems. Consistency is one of them. But part of that may have to do with the fact that he's a third wheel between those two guys, and they may be suppressing his total ability. In which case, you're still going to have to get rid of him because you got a center who can get taken advantage of in the pick and roll. Same thing with both of these guys. If you want to beat the Bulls, all you need is a wing ball handler or someone that, if you're playing switching, if they're switching on defense, you just need to get DeMar Zach in a pick and roll with Vooch. You're going to get a free shot at the rim every fucking time. It is just simply how this breaks down. None of those guys play defense. And this is what I've been harping on even since last year when Billy Donovan was saying that this ain't sustainable. He already knew what it was, which is why part of the reason, and I've said, hey, we should ditch Billy Donovan, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to hop off the agenda real quick. I'm going to be honest with you. Billy Donovan ain't the issue. The issue is the front office and this team construction. That's the true culprit. Billy Donovan, I have issues with because I still don't think he maximizes what these guys can do, but I think even maximizing these guys isn't enough. Maximizing these guys isn't going to make them a title contender, which is the point that they were trying to go for. They were trying to make this team a title contender. That's not it. So this, to me, this is less Billy Donovan's fault. Like, honestly. Billy Donovan has not been given a righteous team for him to, like, run his shit with. I'm just going to keep it a buck. Could he do better things, in my opinion? Absolutely. But I don't think we've seen the best of Patrick Williams. I don't think we've seen the best of Ayo. I don't think we've seen the best of Zach LaVine. Like, there's too many players on this team, I think, that have been limited. But that doesn't mean that this roster isn't flawed. Okay? So, here's what I think. Here's my suggestion. Yes, I still want to absolutely get rid of Vucevic, and I want to get rid of DeMar. We don't need old guys. I'm sorry, and I'm an old guy myself. My birthday is about to be next week. I'm about to be 35. All right? I'm an old guy too. We don't need the old guys. All right? Here's what we need to do. I would call up Golden State immediately. I would ask them what's the price for Jonathan Wiseman. And I bring in Jonathan Wiseman. If they want Caruso in a straight up deal, you can have them. Shake hands, we're good to go. Why would they want to do that deal? Because word has it that Steve Kerr has, and it's even been reported, that they want Caruso. But they need that point of attack defender. They don't have that anymore. That kind of was GP last year, but they don't have him anymore. They don't have any guy at the point of defense. Clay ain't that guy no more. They need a Caruso. So if you get a Caruso on that team, that fixes one of their issues defensively that they have, which helps Kevon Looney and Draymond Green and Steph, who's out, and Clay, and Jordan Poole, and everybody else. So that's a working deal. It allows them to get off Jonathan Wiseman, who honestly isn't getting enough play time and is expected to perform at a higher than functional level with very little NBA experience, who cannot mess up because this is a championship contender and they're trying to extend Steph, like his competitive window. It now gets you a guy who's a chip. He's got a chip. He's played at the highest level. He's played with LeBron. He's ready to go. He's in his prime. He may be, if not one of the best point of attack defenders in the league. It makes sense. So you can do a 1-for-1 swap maybe, and now the Bulls have a young new center that they can run out there and play. And it's like, God, you can go get your shots up. It's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up. Now you got someone that can rim protect, someone that can actually move around the space, the floor, and can learn the game, and he can develop. You got your true center to replace Vooch, right? All right, cool. What's your next play? I would get on the phone with Atlanta and I would ask Atlanta if I could get John Collins or could I get DeAndre Hunter and picks. Here's the thing. And let me back up to the Bulls here real quick. The Bulls, to me, are not going to, like, even if Zoe got healthy this year, they're not going to be competitive enough. They're not going to win enough games to undo the deficit and get to at least 500. They would need to be closer to 500 than they are. And I think they're like 7 or 8 games under. Okay? If you're going to go pull the trigger to get Wiseman for Caruso, and you still believe in Patrick Williams, who has shown flashes, who is also being suppressed by the presence of DeMar, who Thaddeus Young said this, over a year ago, and Zach LaVine and Vooch, you're going to need to get off of DeMar DeRozan. He's only got a year left after this. He's your best player. Other than Zach LaVine, he's your other guy that can get you assets. And it would make plenty of sense. Sorry about that. It would make plenty of sense to move off of him, your older asset, your best asset, and to get something that fits. Now, one of the holes of the Bulls is they don't have a legit power forward. They're playing a bunch of like guards and small forwards at a power forward position, and they're trying to make it work. Now, they've had plenty of good success this year playing Drummond as the backup, but here's the thing. If you're gonna get Jonathan Wiseman, you're not really trying to play Vooch, and you're not trying to play Drummond there either. So you already have your center spot filled up. You don't need anything else. And if you decide to move Vooch, you don't necessarily have to say, get another center. You're taken care of there. You also got Tony Bradley there, a.k.a. Mama Hips. I ain't forgot about you, Tony Bradley, Mama Hips. I ain't forgot about you, my guy. You basically got 4 guys for the center spot, so you're okay. Even if you move one, you still got 3 guys, so you're okay. But you don't have a power forward. And think about it. If I'm going to get Jonathan Wiseman, if he's going to be my center, he's young, athletic. I already got point guard Zoe. Young, somewhat athletic, but his game is more of an open floor game. He wants a track meet, right? Already got Patrick who can jump out the window. Already got Zach LaVine who can jump out the window. I need to go get a power forward who could come in and be athletic and jump out the window. Now we got a team of athletes. We can go and take it to you. So let's go trade DeMar DeRozan for John Collins, or maybe even DeAndre Hunter in the picks. It just depends on what they would be willing to sacrifice. Now, here's why. Atlanta has an issue, and it's becoming obvious to me that Trey is a coach killer. They got rid of their old coach because Trey didn't like him, and now they're thinking about getting rid of the current coach because Trey don't like him, and they got beef. What that team needs is a locker room presence. They need a vet. What do? You give them DeMar. They got another scorer outside of DeJounte and Trey, and now they got a veteran in the locker room who can kind of stifle some of that, because Trey is a little bit full of himself right now. I'm gonna be real with you. You get DeMar in that now he got somebody that's right there with him. Like, hey, bro, I'd have been a multiple time All Star. I'd have been to the conference finals. You know what I'm saying? Me and you got pretty much the same accolades, but I'm a lot wiser than you. Let me tell you something. This ain't what you need to do. So this works from that standpoint, but you can also play DeAndre Hunter at the four, so you can slide DeMar at the three, which he's been playing with the Bulls anyway. But it gives them another real score threat, someone else who can also hold the ball and make a play. And they really have been trying to shop John Collins to no avail. They gave him that contract, which is a little cheaper than DeMar's, so the numbers work outright. The numbers also work with the Wiseman Caruso thing, because I didn't mention that. And now you can benefit both teams. Bulls got younger, athletic, ready to run. You can rest Zach and Zoe for the rest of the year. Let them perfectly heal up. Say, hey, Paul, get every touch you want. Hey, Wiseman, get every touch you want. Hey, Collins, show us what you do. Let them boys go out there and mess it up as much as they need to. Right? You can tank basically if you want it, but you're not going to tank because tanking, like, you would have to get top four to keep your pick. Anything else, it goes to Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. So let them boys get their run, build their confidence, see what they got. You already know your backcourt is solid because we saw what Zach and Zoe was doing last year. And then just get ready for the following year. Vooch's contract falls off. I don't necessarily have a deal for Vooch yet, and I'm still thinking about what could come of that. But you could basically trade Vooch to some team that got like parts and be like, hey, we need some bench filler. We need some shooters. We need some weapons to put around these guys. You could trade Vooch for that. But you now got a workable team. Next year, you're going in with Zoe, Zach, Paul, Collins, and Wiseman. This team is going to play defense. The worst player on defense on this team is Zach LaVine in that starting lineup. Versus you got three guys that are terrible on defense. You put Zach LaVine on the 3-and-D guy, he's less affected by their offense, so he has less responsibility. Sure, they could target him, but you got a rim protector in Wiseman now. You got Zoe and Paul, who are switchable defenders, same with John Collins, who's athletic. There you go. You got a solid defensive team. Now, you got Wiseman who can shoot the ball, Collins who's a rim wrecker, Paul who can somewhat shoot. You got Zach and Zoe who can shoot. You got shooting. Zach can now be that guy. He can take 25 shots a game and get you 45 points because he don't have to share necessarily with anybody but everybody else on the team. But he's going to defer to Zoe because he trusts Zoe. Now you got a squad. And you're young. You're set up for the future. And you got assets if you got off Vooch. But continuing down the same path that you have now is not going to work. So this is what I think they should do. Given the situation, and now you get to really assess Billy Donovan, who they already re-signed, because now he got a team. There's no excuse. He's a defensive coach. There shouldn't be any excuses why this team isn't good. You can still keep Derrick Jones Jr. You can still keep Ayo. You can let everybody else go. You actually go get some pieces. You actually got cap space now. You can go make some plays. You can go actually acquire some guys. Mo Bamba ain't getting much play in Orlando right now because of Bobo. Shout outs to that pick because I've been on that one for the longest. I've been saying we should have got him. Wiseman is another guy like Bobo where I think the situation matters. Bobo got an opportunity. He's looking like Wemby. The guy that's coming up in the draft, the number one pick, who everybody think may be better than LeBron, Victor Wembanyama. He's looking like him. He's already got the skill set. But I said he just needed to change the scenery. Denver couldn't play him. They had no spaces to play him. Get him in a different location. Look at it. Everybody think he's having a bounce back year. No, he was always this. He just needed PT. If some of these guys are not getting PT, that's all that Wiseman needs. Wiseman needs PT. But now you got these guys in a new situation. It's house money, but you got time. And Zach got a team where he feel like he could go be him. They got their point guard. They got their front court filled out. Paul could get his touches, and now Paul could be Kawhi Leonard allegedly. You got a now modern big, and you got a solid power forward. Let's run it. Let's run it. But that's my view. Anyway, I hope you guys are having great holidays. I hope you like this. Talk to y'all later. Peace.